Hello, my name is Belisa Anakris and I will be presenting about our introduction. The auditing profession is critical to assuring the correctness and dependability of financial statements, which creates trust among investors, regulators, and the general public. However, the expectation gap continues to exist, separating public expectations from actual performance. This gap can have a substantial influence on the auditing profession's reputation and efficacy, as well as stakeholder confidence in financial reporting. There are two types of gaps: performance and reasonableness. Performance gaps refer to perceived weaknesses in auditors, whereas reasonableness gaps refer to unreasonable demands for auditor assurance. Understanding the expectation gap is critical for improving communication and teaching, balancing public expectations with actual reality, and eliminating misinformation. This group project seeks to explore the auditing expectation gap, assess its impact on the profession and stakeholders, and provide methods for preventing it. This analysis tries to improve audit effectiveness and trust in today's business environment.
Next, I will present about the nature of expectation gap in audit. Expectation gap in auditing refers to the difference between what the general public and other stakeholders expect from an audit compared to what the audit profession delivers. Expectation gap is about having a system in which everyone can trust to the information they provided. People trust in the financial reports, and audit contributes to market stability. According to Ligio, he defines the audit expectation gap as the difference between expected level of performance as planned by the independent accountant and by the user of financial information.
Next, we move on to argument about expectation in gap. Expectations gap in audit means the difference between what the general public and users of financial statements think auditors should be doing and what auditors actually accomplish. According to Potter 1993, the public frequently has unrealistic expectation of auditors, believing them to be able to identify every incidence of fraud and guarantee perfect accuracy in financial statement. When financial failures occur, this misalignment can diminish public confidence in the auditing profession, harming the industry's reputation and drawing more attention from regulators. From FRC to 2022, new initiatives have been found. Better auditor reporting, increased standards, and the use of advanced technologies are all part of the effort to close this gap. But there are still issues because the auditing profession is significantly affected by the expectation gap. Public perceptions of auditors' lack of duty following high-profile frauds or financial crisis can result in litigation and regulatory reaction. The gap is still an ongoing problem in spite of their efforts. The public and even certain users of financial statement could not completely comprehend this procedural and technical limitation of audits. So, in response, according to IFSC 2016, professional association and regulators have tightened guidelines and standards with the goal of improving audit reports, clarity and detail. For the purpose of these measures is to provide users with more information about the scope of an audit and its restrictions. In order to improve fraud detection and offer more in-depth financial insights, future approach to closing this gap may involve utilizing advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and data analytics. This is from Kokina and Davenport 2017.
Next, I will present about the cause of audit expectation gap. The audit expectation gap is a difficult issue caused by the difference between what users expect from an audit and what auditors actually provide. One of the primary causes of this difference is the high expectation maintained by stakeholders such as investor, regulator, and the general public. Next, another factor contributing to the audit expectation gap is a misunderstanding of the auditing process. Many audit report readers may be inexperienced with auditing standard, procedures, and methodologies. As a result, they may overestimate audit skill and expect them to provide perfect trust, particularly in scenarios involving inherent risks. Last but not least, other reasons of audit expectation include the public overstatement of the audit expectation gap and their incapacity to appropriately evaluate the auditor's work. Many members of the public have a limited awareness of the auditing procedures and standards. The lack of awareness can lead to unreasonable expectation regarding what audit can achieve.
My name is Nurul Azila binti Sabinin, and I will continue with the ways to reduce the expectation gap. To prevent the audit expectation gap, a collaborative effort from auditors, regulatory bodies, standard-setting organizations, and other stakeholders are essential. According to Anthony Dialis, there are some methods to assist, prevent, and manage the expectation gap in audit. The methods are divided into three types of gap, which are knowledge gap, performance gap, and evaluation gap. To narrow the knowledge gap, those who are related to the audit profession need to commit to informing the public in a fair, balanced, and understandable way about audit regulation and audit standards. For example, enhancing communication. Enhanced communication is a vital component of preventing and managing the auditing expectation gap. Next, performance gap. It is necessary to improve the audit's quality and dependability in order to avoid the performance-related audit expectation gap. For example, an engagement team gathering to discuss areas of risk of material misstatement may be prone to groupthink. Standard setters must create standards as clearly as possible and avoid imposing requirements that may induce bias or are difficult to apply objectively. Last but not least is evaluation gap. A strategy to bridge this gap is by enhancing auditor training and development. By maintaining up to date with the newest standards, procedures, and technology is ensured for auditors through ongoing professional education. By providing auditors with a diverse set of competence, they may perform more complete and insightful audits, which is better for the evolving needs of the stakeholders.
And now we move on to the empirical finding. The first one is a knowledge gap. The knowledge gap highlights how the public often misunderstands auditor action, with more educated users sometimes less informed than less educated ones. Public perception versus actual auditor action play a crucial role in risk assessment and materiality, influenced by varying professional judgment on materiality. Education also play a role in reducing the expectation gap between auditor and the public. The next one is the performance gap. Although auditor may lack knowledge of new accounting standard because they were not tested upon becoming auditor and previous audit did not emphasize high standard or quality. Investors expect auditor to uphold norm and regulation flawlessly based on the company financial statement. However, compliance with rule and regulation is largely unaffected by the expectation gap. The last one is the evolution gap. There is recognized need for growth in auditing to harness technological advancement and meet increasing public demand, aiming to improve the audit process and add value. Auditors are pressured by the public to conduct more thorough investigation for accuracy. Bankers believe auditors are less accountable than investors when it comes to reporting change. Also, board overseeing internal control is urged not to unfairly blame auditors for error, recognizing the complexity involved in auditing processes.
Next is our conclusion and recommendations. The expectation gap in auditing is a significant issue arising from misunderstandings about audit scope, inefficient communication and the growing complexity of financial information. It could lead to a loss of reputation and increased regulatory obligations. To address this, public education, auditors enhance communication, regular updates to regulatory standards, and collaboration with regulators and standard setters are suggested. Expanding audit scope to improve fraud detection and offering guarantees on non-financial data can also help. These strategies could help close the gap, boost public trust, and ensure audits continue to deliver necessary assurances in a changing financial environment. Thank you.